Today you're the boat operations manager. You're responsible for getting the dinghies and sailing equipment out of the storeroom and the dinghies correctly rigged before sending them off to the pontoon for launching. After arriving at 8:30, the boat operations manager reports to the sailing day coordinator and signs in at the registration desk. Put on the appropriate jacket from the small bin so that rigging volunteers will know who to take direction from. The first step is to agree with the sailing day coordinator how many dinghies should be rigged based on the number of sailors and groups booked in and competent skippers available. The weather should also be taken into consideration. Maybe put out just a few boats until the weather settles. Starting with the bottom rack, each boat should be pulled out and loaded onto a trolley, taken outside and slid off the trolley pointing into the prevailing wind. It takes 2 or 3 people to do this. Do not attempt to lift down dinghies from the top rack with less than 3 strong, tall, competent people. No one with back problems should attempt this task. Each dinghy should be assigned an experienced rigger and helper. This is not the time for instruction. Both volunteers should be able to rig according to the rigging instructions. When the first boat is rigged and you've checked it's been done correctly, if it's quite windy, reef both sails for transporting to the pontoon. Empty the contents of the accessory bag, which is colour-coded to the hull of the dinghy, into the cockpit and hang the bag on the gate. The bag should contain a rudder box and pin, unless it's one of the 2 newer boats, Vin Red and Black Swan Fluoro, who have rudder boxes permanently attached. There should also be a joystick for steering, a long keel pin, a bailer and a paddle. After you've checked each boat, it can be sent by trolley to the pontoon to have the rudder box, rudder and keel fitted. Instruct the trolley driver to go down the ramp stern first and return with the trolley immediately. Once 6 boats are efficiently rigged and have been moved off the top deck, it may be appropriate for a rigging lesson with the last boat. This should be conducted by you or someone you appoint, and only if the boat is not immediately needed. When all boats needed are correctly rigged and off the top deck, you can take up another role until de-rigging. De-rigging. The sailing day coordinator will instruct the pontoon manager to start pulling boats out of the water when all sailors have had a turn, volunteers who want to have had a sail, or the weather has become unsuitable. When the first boat is being pulled out, assemble a team of enthusiastic de-riggers and washers and take up position on the top deck. Remove the sails and furl them. Remind volunteers to furl the mains with large logos on the outside. Install the hose with a properly fitting nozzle to minimize water use, and if there are water restrictions, use a bucket and sponge. When boats arrive on the top deck, slip them off the trolley. Keep one trolley for transporting boats into the boat room and send the other back to pick up the next boat from the pontoon. If sails are wet with salt water, hose them and lean them up against the wall to dry. If it's raining, arrange for someone to come down and do it later. If life jackets are wet with salt water, hose them down and hang them on the rail to dry. Remove the booms and stow them as neatly as possible. Stack all sails and booms in the boat room carefully in the correct racks. Find the right bag hanging on the door by colour patch and replace all the accessories. Do not remove the rudder boxes from Vin Red and Black Swan Fluoro. Hose down the boats inside and out, paying special attention to the cleats and fittings. Have someone help tip out water from the cockpit, and if you can still hear water sloshing inside, raise the bow, remove the stern inspection hatch and sponge out any excess water. Leave the hatch cover in the accessory bag so the hull can dry out. Put the accessory bag with contents into the boat. Now put the boat on the trolley and take it into the boat room stern first. Get 3 or 4 strong people to help lift it onto the top racks, stern first. Fill the top racks first from the wall out to the outside. Fewer people are needed for the lower racks. When all boats are de-rigged, washed and stowed away on the racks, it's the boat operations manager's responsibility to oversee the packing away of the hose, the caddy keels, life jacket bins, rack, trolley, hoist, rail, gazebo and barbecue. If there's been any damage to boats or boat equipment, write it in the booking book with the brown cover, along with any comments or feedback you feel is useful. What a great effort! You've to be congratulated for a very demanding job. Well done. Thank you.